Woman who discovered Charles Manson was her grandfather reveals eerie ways her dad's life mirrored the cult leader's. Sophia Maddox says her father was conceived during a one-night stand and grew up sensing the truth, but long before he learned it. 26 learned 4 years ago through a genealogy website match that her father's biological father was Manson, the man behind the 1969 Tate Labina murders. I apologize if I got it wrong. The revelation forms for the basis of a Hulu documentary, which I'm really looking forward to watching. My Grandfather Charles Manson, in which she says, "I come from a murderer. Who the fuck would accept me?" That must be pretty life-changing, to know that your grandfather is the one and only Charles Manson. Even though you could be a relatively normal person, you could be completely normal and share no similarities to your grandfather whatsoever, people would still judge you based on the fact that you are related to this guy, who did awful things during his time way back in the day. The reputation just carries on over through generations of the family. According to an interview with The Guardian, Maddox's father, Daniel, however you pronounce the last name, was conceived during a one-night or two-night stand, and Maddox believes his mother suspected who his father really was. Maddox's father, Daniel, was conceived during a one-night or two-night stand, and Maddox believes his mother suspected who his father really was. She said her grandmother kept the secret to her grave, but as a mum, she took her shame and rage out on Daniel. The most interesting question about this whole thing is, why did she, the granddaughter, decide to make a documentary based on her being related to Charles Manson? When that gets released to the public, there's going to be all sorts of opinions, and people are going to make judgmental comments, and some people might look at her differently now than they probably did before. Her name might be more out there now than it was beforehand, stuff like that. Maddox said she grew up hearing her father talk about never having met his own dad, and that when the truth finally emerged, he could not bring himself to tell her for 2 months because it was so dark. Discovery into a film felt insensitive, having grown up pretty isolated and lonely, adding that being a storyteller was simply how I was built and raised. The documentary draws a series of eerie comparisons between Manson and his son, beyond their physical resemblance, including that both men were born to teenage mothers and had absent fathers. While Manson spent much of his youth in juvenile, correctional and reform institutions, Daniel was sent to a military reformatory school. His son Daniel was sent to a military school as a child. Sophia also points to shared traits including childhood trauma, mental health struggles, and a volatility that could surface unpredictably in both men. I'm doing some research now, and the similarities between my dad and Charles are kind of eerie from birth, Maddox says. What does Charles Manson's grandson-in-law's daughter say about generational trauma? Maddox has said the project ultimately became less about her grandfather and more about untangling the trauma passed through her father, rather than inherited evil. Co-director Alexandra Orton said the aim was to resist treating Manson as a superhuman villain, which I agree with, that's a good idea. Co-director Alexandra Orton said the aim was to resist treating Manson as a superhuman villain, arguing that understanding how atrocities happen means recognizing that they are carried out by ordinary people. The film includes a tense, unresolved confrontation between Maddox and her father, and the pair have not spoken since it was filmed. Charles Manson's son Daniel, who himself is a filmmaker, supported his daughter's decision to explore their history on camera, but reportedly had reservations about how healthy the process would be for her. Yeah, that's completely fair. I would be kind of hesitant as well if I was him. Manson, who led the cult responsible for the murders of Sharon Tate and several others in Los Angeles in August 1969, died in prison in 2017 at the age of 83. Maddox has said she hopes to rekindle with her father in time, and that watching the documentary might help him understand that alongside the trauma, he also passed down resilience. So I guess first of all, fair play to her for wanting to do a documentary based on her grandfather, who just happens to be Charles Manson of all people. No way in hell could that have been an easy decision. No way can that have been a healthy decision in some ways, because you're bringing up a lot of trauma, you're bringing up a lot of history, and you're bringing up a lot of painful memories, I guess, for some people. But I'd like to know from you guys, have you managed to watch the documentary, My Grandfather Charles Manson? Have you really, do you have any interest in watching it if you've not yet watched it? And on this woman, what are your feelings on Sophia deciding to make a documentary based on her grandfather Charles Manson? Let me know down below in the comments. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.